The number one factor that's going to drive the success for your video has got to be production quality, right? Wrong. Okay, well, that feels a bit aggressive. If it's not production quality, then it's got to be having a good editor, right? Still wrong. Friend, there's a common misconception that says you've got to have the latest and greatest cinema quality camera gear to be able to shoot some high functioning, professional looking video that's going to draw your viewers in, and they're going to be so impressed with the quality and how great it looks. And I'm just going to bust that myth right here. Friend, the only thing that you need to worry about in your video is the story. I don't care if you're shooting on an IMAX grade camera, a smartphone, or a potato, for crying out loud. As long as you have a good story, a solid message, a journey that you can bring your viewer on, that is the key component that's going to drive the success for not only your video, but any video ever created. And this is true not only in the video world, but even in the written space too, when you're talking about books, obviously. But go to guidedproductions.com and click on the blog tab. All of my blogs follow this same format. And that is, of course, having a beginning, a middle, and an end. I'm not trying to oversimplify this here, but it really is that simple. We learned how to tell good stories when we were in elementary school. You have an introduction, some way to open up the scene, set the stage, provide a little background context. You're telling your viewer what it is to expect. Why did they click on this? Or why are they reading? Or why are they viewing this to begin with? Then, of course, you move into the middle section. This is the body of your video or your message or your story. This is where you're going to provide the meat and potatoes, the substance, the content. This is what they came here for. So give it to them, all the goods. Then, of course, the end, your conclusion. This is where you're going to wrap things up. Everything culminates in this moment. It could just be a call to action. It could be a way for your viewer to have a summary of what it is that they've just gone through. And maybe you're giving them a couple of bullet point steps for them to say, follow these steps as soon as we're done here, and put this into practice so that you can experience that level of transformation. But what we're doing here is just taking our viewer on this journey. That is what is going to convince them to stick around until the end, not some sort of trickery, not some sort of bait and switch or clickbait or anything like that. All we want to do is open things up with a solid introduction, give them what it is that they came here to get, and then tell them what it was that we did, give them some takeaways, call to action, and everyone's going to be happy. Now, if you don't believe me, I want to give you an example by telling a story. Imagine, if you will, you open your eyes and you're standing on a path in the woods. The sun has gone down. There's a little bit of light peeking through the trees. The end. Well, wait a minute. There are a lot of unanswered questions here. Are you alone in the woods? Are you happy about the fact that it's nighttime? And how far out into the woods are you? Is it safe? Are there animals around you? What events led you to get to this point to begin with? And where are we going from here? This isn't a story. This is just a stage. It's just a scene. Much like if you were to click on this video, you see that I'm sitting in front of a computer and I've got these speakers behind me and a desk. Am I talking about computers? Am I talking about music production, video production? Could I be talking about something entirely irrelevant? The stage, the scene, while it matters, and we want to pick a background, a backdrop, anything in our story that is relevant to the overall message, it's not the story itself. And so we need to be able to lend more context, more details. So going back to our woodsy scene, if you will, let's say you were walking with a group of friends, but you came across this beehive that ended up causing you all to get stung, and you separated and ran off in different directions. So now you've been walking alone in the woods in the dark, but you don't know if you're headed back down the path in the direction you came. You don't know if you're going in a new direction entirely. And all of a sudden you hear these heavy footsteps off the path to your right. They're breaking sticks, and you hear this heavy breathing, and it's getting louder and louder and closer. So the only thing that you can do is to think, I need to run in the opposite direction. Next thing you know, you're off the path, you're tripping over logs, and you're running through this clearing until you get to a cliff. And down below, you're overlooking this chasm, and it's just a roaring waterfall with rapids down below. The noise gets closer and closer, and the last thing that you can think to do is to hurl your body off the edge of this cliff, and right before you hit that icy cold water, you wake up, warm and safe in your bed. Now, friend, I know that's a cheesy story, but do you see how things suddenly got more interesting when I provided a bit more details? And then now we know that it was all just a dream. So it's really setting a lot of context around the story, and it becomes much more interesting. I now have a reason for why I want to stick around and figure out what happens next. You've got to work on nailing down that story. And I have put together some resources around this. If you go to guidedproductions.com/bettervideoguide, I've created an entire PDF guide called My 6 Steps to Creating Better Video. And step number 1 is nailing down that story, getting your message right. Because if we don't get our message right, if we don't build that story from the get-go, everything else is going to crumble. This is the foundational component to your video. And so I provide some ideas, some things to think about when developing that story initially, and then I show you how it fits into the larger production and post-production process, all packed into that PDF guide. It's a free gift for you spending some time with me. Just go to guidedproductions.com/bettervideoguide. Now, friend, I also am a firm believer, if you can say it with fewer words, say it with fewer words. There's not much more to unpack here, and I'm not trying to oversimplify it. I just want you to know that the number one thing that you need to be focused on in your video is not the latest and greatest gear. It's not spending all kinds of money or trying to figure out the latest editing tricks to do zoom cuts and graphics and all that fun stuff to keep your viewer engaged. You just need to be telling a really good story. So get back to the basics, friend. Start with storytelling. Get out a pen and paper if you have to, and really write things out in a way that you would be hooked, and I promise your viewer will be too. Friend, that's what I have for you today. Go get your 6 steps to creating better video guide, and I will see you on another video real soon.